From KATU News, this is breaking news.
And that breaking news, new video into the newsroom of the moments a family in Gates tries to save their burning home from the Beachy Creek fire. In just a week, some have lost everything they own, while others are learning they've lost friends and family.
10 people are now confirmed dead by wildfires. 22 are still reported missing. This is crews' work to keep 30,000 acres of untouched land safe between the Riverside and Beachy Creek fires. And more breaking news now. As of right now, deputies with the Umatilla County Sheriff's Office are evacuating people along Forest Service roads near Ukiah. They say there's a fast-moving fire and they're trying to get people to safety. They are asking people not to call 911. Dispatch is handling an influx of calls right now. They say the city of Ukiah is not affected at this time. We will be sure to keep you updated as we continue to learn more. Good evening and thanks for staying with us tonight. I'm Deborah Knapp. And I'm Lincoln Graves. As these wildfires continue to burn across the state, we are bringing you team coverage, including KATU's Steve Dunn, who is live in Mahema, where the Beachy Creek fire is still going strong, burning nearly 190,000 acres. Steve, you've been talking with people anxious but afraid to return home?
Exactly right, Lincoln. Show you a couple of the reasons why they can't return home. First of all, we're still in a level 3 evacuation zone, so they can't go back. Second, I want to show you this. You see all along the way, roadblocks right in front of us, the military here. Farther down, we've got the police and fire departments blocking every single intersection. This is Highway 22 we are on right now. That way is Mill City. That way is the town of Lyons. If you've been out here, you know these are small, tight-knit communities. They all stick together. They know they'll stick together through this one, too. They're just waiting to see what lies down the road. Scott and Kim Knox are sad and frustrated, full of all the emotions you'd expect from someone who's had their life flipped upside down in the past week.
Talking about volunteer firefighters getting their eyelashes burned off, trying to go to houses.
Flames pulled up just short of their home, as seen in these pictures, but Scott's dad wasn't so fortunate.
I actually found a way in Saturday with my father and my neighbor, and just in time to see his house burning.
And beyond the flames, the frustration is building.
I just feel like our area didn't get the help when they should have got the help. God bless our volunteer firefighters, because they didn't get the help that they needed right away.
And if you live in this area, you know Diane Pantovich.
We have good breakfast and we serve a lot of wild meat.
She owns the Gingerbread House restaurant, a popular spot with elk and bison on the menu. But Diane feels very fortunate today after evacuating in a hurry last week.
And 2 officers came and said, you guys need to leave and you need to leave now.
She learned her diner, in business since 1953, had burned to the ground, although it really hadn't.
We heard it had burned. My nephew works for the fire department and he called his dad and his dad called us and said we'd lost it. And see, our house is right there and there's 3 little hot spots right by that tree that's standing there. So that's how close we were to burning out.
And back to the Knox family. They fear the worst may be yet to come.
I'm sure there'll still be a lot of tears shed when the smoke clears and we can see the destruction.
And back out here live right now, Diane from the Gingerbread House made sure to come out and tell me after we had done the interview. She ran out and said, Steve, you better make sure and thank all the first responders, all the firefighters, all the folks doing a terrific job out here in all these small communities. I want to tell you what's coming up at 6 o'clock tonight here on KATU. This is what you never know who you're going to run into when you go to a small town. We met with a woman who has chickens, dogs, turkeys, ducks. What else am I missing, Tim? Ducks. Yeah, lots of animals. Anyway, how they're dealing with that in the midst of all this. And one other note, we're seeing the sun actually popping out for the first time in days. We'll see you guys back here at 6 o'clock tonight.
Really is the bright spot tonight. Okay, Steve, thank you. The town of Gates, some parts of Mill City were reduced to rubble after the Beachy Creek fire tore through last week. Today, dozens attempted to get home to see what was left. KATU's Kelly Azier is also live in Mahema tonight, and you spoke with people who stayed past the evacuation to fight the fire.
That's right, I sure did. And as you said, a number of people were trying to get to that area, and they were doing so through this roadblock behind us. That's where we met this man who says he stayed 14 hours last Tuesday battling the fire that creeped up on his property.
My house is still there. My whole block is there because we went back up there.
And you fought it.
Damn right we did.
Last Tuesday, this was Darren Richardson's view as the Beachy Creek fire began surrounding his neighborhood.
We're trying to save this Bob and Gail Herman.
He and a handful of neighbors decided to ignore the evacuation orders and stay.
I've been there. I watched the town burn down. I was there for 14 hours trying to put it out with 4 other people.
He says he knew if he didn't stay,
We're staying here as long as we can. We're
he wouldn't have a home to return to.
My deck was on fire. My canopy was on fire. The bushes were on fire. And I started from my house, working down the rest of the houses to save those with a couple other fellows that I had with us.
But when he went to leave,
and by the time we got into Gates, it was just too late.
the town, now heavily burned, reduced to a shell of what it once was. Richardson says he's proud to be from Santiam Canyon and knows the community will get through this.
Canyon's strong, man.
And coming up at 6 o'clock, we talk to more residents from Mill City and Gates who talk about their community and that resiliency that you just heard there. We have their stories coming up at 6 o'clock. Reporting live in Mahama, Kelly Ozier, KATU News.
Kelly, thank you. Again, the governor announced 10 people total have been confirmed dead by the Oregon State Medical Examiner because of wildfires, but that number could grow. According to the Office of Emergency Management, there are still 22 reports of missing people. KATU's Wright Gasway joins us live with more on what the governor said today. Well, firefighters say they're optimistic about the weather.
They are, Deb. Over the last 4 days, they've had much better weather to fight these fires. They say in those 4 days, they've made progress. The state fire chief says 30,000 acres separate the massive Beachy Creek and Riverside fires. Over 300,000 acres have burned between the two. Oregon Department of Forestry Fire Chief Doug Graff says fire crews are putting containment lines between the two fires to make sure they don't combine. Statewide, Graff says over 5,000 firefighters are fighting more than 10 wildfires. Other states have also sent crews to help. I asked new state fire marshal Mariana Ruiz Temple if the decision to send firefighters to California last month put crews here behind the 8 ball responding to fires that popped up in Oregon.
No, it did not. The decision to send firefighters early on was when we were in a really steady state and not experiencing fires here in Oregon.
The fire marshal says they were all back well before the outbreak we're seeing now. Governor Brown says state leaders need to focus more resources on the mitigation and prevention of wildfires in the future, especially with concerns over climate change and whether this is something we'll see more of in Oregon.
There's no question these fires are more fierce. They are extensively hotter. At least in the last couple of years, they've moved much more rapidly and are a very challenging type of fire to fight.
State leaders expect some of these fires to smolder into the winter when Oregon will see more consistent rain. Unfortunately, all the smoke we're seeing is still preventing crews from getting up in the air and fighting these flames from above. The National Guard says they have several air units ready to do that just as soon as the visibility gets better. We're live in Northeast Portland. Wright Gasaway, KATU News.
Right, thank you. Governor Kate Brown also said today she's asked the president to declare a major disaster for the state. According to Representative Greg Walden, the president is working to do that as soon as possible. The congressman tweeted pictures of himself showing the president photos of the devastation in Oregon brought by fire. He says the president wants to help in any way possible.
Well, I think he was really taken aback by the photos, like anybody would be. I mean, to see that level of destruction is really jarring.
Walden says he's confident the president will declare a major disaster area in Oregon. If that happens, he says in some cases it could pay upwards of 100% of people's losses.
The Portland metro area still ranks the worst in the world for air quality today. This is video from our viewer Kristen of the Broadway Bridge, which really you can barely see. KATU's Keaton Thomas joins us now live from Northeast Portland. Keaton, several people have gone to the hospital for smoke.
Yeah, we learned today that 10% of ER visits across the state are for asthma-like symptoms. That's according to the Oregon Health Authority. And when you step outside, you can really see why. I mean, it's the air quality here where we're standing in Northeast Portland is simply bad. Smoke from wildfires have prompted school closures around the state. Public buildings across the metro have been shut down too. What's more, the bad air is going to stick around for at least another few days, and that means public health officials are urging people to stay inside, make sure you don't make the air quality any worse than it already is. And all this as we're dealing with a pandemic.
Even in some places where there may be limited improvement at times, that just means dropping from one bad air category to the next worst category.
Now, health officials said people 65 and older are particularly at risk for this smoke. Also, people with heart or respiratory conditions, pregnant women, and children. Symptoms usually show up, I'm told, within a few days of being exposed to all this smoke, but it can take up to 1 or 2 weeks. And while these symptoms from smoke may sometimes feel similar to symptoms for COVID-19, health officials said that the smoke doesn't come with fever, chills, or, nausea or diarrhea symptoms. For now, we're live in Northeast Portland. Keaton Thomas, KATU News.
All right, Keaton, thank you. KATU's Joe English is in the Weather Center tonight monitoring this hazardous air quality. Joe?
Yeah, it's going to stick around a while, but we are seeing some signs of improvement. Stephen, Kelly, we're talking about being able to see the sunshine down there where they are. We're seeing some clearing conditions along the coast. This is what it looks like from the Inn at Spanish Head Resort Hotel in Lincoln City, where you can see the ocean for a change. You haven't been able to the last couple of days. But also things not improving fast enough. Even when we clear out some of that smoke, we're seeing the air quality alert now in effect. It was supposed to be down this evening, now in effect until noon Thursday before the air quality gets better. We will see improvements in the smoke, but we're also seeing some wind out there, and that's stirring up the flames out in Umatilla County and in Central Oregon as well. So there's a fire weather warning, a red flag warning for South Central Oregon as that wind moves through, and not enough wind for us in the valley. I-5 corridor up into southwest Washington. There's a dense smoke advisory that continues through this evening. At least here's what you can expect: smoke and possibly fog once again, heavy in the morning on Tuesday, along with some showers that will start to clear things out. You'll notice a difference on Wednesday, but still some heavy patches of smoke sticking around the middle of the week.
Okay, Joe, thank you. As we head to break, here's a live look in Clackamas County, how crews plan to tackle the Riverside fire. That's when we come back.
I went out there yesterday. It's really, really smoky, but we haven't got the okay to go home yet.
Fire officials said they are working to establish strong containment lines around the fire so people can return home safely. Level 3 go evacuation notices are still in place in Clackamas and Marion counties. KATU's Lachey Wesley is live for us in Molalla. More firefighters are coming in from other states.
Yes, they are expected to help, but also give the firefighters who have been working a much needed break. Conditions are expected to be a lot better this week, but firefighters are still concerned about winds and, of course, the smoke. Firefighters are expecting a break this week. The wind is calmer, temperatures are cooler, and the humidity is expected to be higher. On the Riverside fire, fire officials said they are working on the western side of the fire to establish strong containment lines near homes to protect towns such as Molalla and Estacada. According to the state fire marshal's office, over 100,000 structures are still threatened.
This is going to be a long duration incident. There's a lot of fire out there.
Fire officials did not give a timeline for when evacuation notices will be lifted.
Until we can, they say that we can go home, we're stuck here.
To the south, the Beachy Creek fire continues to threaten over 35,000 structures. Fire officials said the Riverside fire and Beachy Creek fire are just 1 mile apart. Officials anticipate these fires will merge, but do not think it will result in dynamic fire behavior like last week. Now, fire officials working on the Riverside fire say that people should start seeing containment on this fire this week. Live in Molalla, Lachey Wesley, KATU News.